This one actually explains it a little better. It's not just stupid Hollywood. Hollywood one's interesting. You got to actually see the whole movie for the clip to be like kind of effective. If that makes any sense. So, Ethan has been in school. Now he's on the computer. It's interesting. All right. So while I am letting these people in, let's go ahead and go around the horn. One thing you are excited for spring break, or one thing that you are, or if you're going somewhere, where are you going? Okay, we're going to start over here, the corner with Mr. Barker. Okay, cool. Stanley, anything you're looking forward to or going anywhere? Chicago, cool. Destiny. North Carolina, wow. Luella. Stay home and get some sleep. That sounds good. What are you doing, Mrs. Kenrich?
I'm going to I have a question.
What? Yeah. Yes. What's up, Hannah? What are you doing?
I don't know yet. I'm actually going to
Where's that?
in Ludington.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited to sleep in.
Good. What about Lucy? Oh yeah. Hey. All right, those of you on Zoom, love the cameras. That's so awesome. Put in the chat box one thing you're looking forward to doing over spring break. All right, we're up to Lane. What do you got? I know, but you're not looking forward to doing anything in 9 days? Really? Here you go, Ashton. Where's that? Okay, what about Griff? Okay, Jackson. You right. Sleeping in, Mushi. What's that? Yeah. St. Augustine, Florida. Cool. Had a little family action. Victoria. Where at? Oh, cool. Jill. Nice. All right, we got going to California. That's a long way, Nyla. Car trip, sleeping in, sleeping, camping. Cool. I'm going to Terre Haute for 4 days with my mother-in-law and father-in-law so they can watch the kids from 7 to 9 so I can sleep for a normal amount of time. Nap time. I'm with you on that, Liliana. All right, so we're going to get class going now. That means put your cell phones away. It's so obvious when you're on your cell phone. I wasn't born yesterday. So just put them away. It's not that hard. Okay. It'll make your time go faster. You won't sit there and watch your countdown clock on your till the day's over. So let's do that now, please. Also then I'm going to share the screen for those of you at home. And we're going to check out the module. What is the question, Hannah? I do. I can get you some. All right. So I am, if everybody is watching, at the current module, and it says 326 video and discussion. So before I get it going too far along here, I want everybody to see the peer edit and DBQ final submission. I had a couple people talk to me about the fact that they, for whatever reason, couldn't attach the peer edit, so they sent it to me as a message. But 35 out of 55, that means there are probably a handful of you seeing in this room here that don't have that done yet. I will be grading those sometime over break. So you want to make sure you get that to me at some point, or else it'll be 0. Yeah, and follow the steps if you don't know what you need to do. They're all there. All right, so we're gonna start off class today with a video. This is the Iranian Revolution hostage crisis kind of explained. It's only like 4 minutes long. There's a discussion post that I want you to participate in afterwards, and it's pretty simple. Discussion post says, how could the crisis and even revolution have been avoided? ? And why are there still tensions between Iran and the US today? You get to answer one of the two, so you don't have to answer both. All right. Do I have any questions about that? Want to feel good about it? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the video. All right. Again, I told you we would watch this, and Katie asked if the Hollywood film was Argo. It is. That's if you really want to watch it. It's incredible. It is definitely rated R, because I was going to show you a scene from it and they use the F word. That ends with 4 letters and K. And so then I was like, that's not good. So we shouldn't watch that one. So we're going to watch this one instead. All right.
In the fall of 1979,
Well, that's not gonna be
protesters
effective.
broke into the
Sorry about that. I gotta resume the share. Oh, I guess I have to stop the share. Hold on a second. Shares. Why do I have all these dumb windows opened up? Projects. Huh. Hold on. Fancy button. That one. Okay, now go to here. Now click on Epson. Now go to, I need the zoomers. Where are the zoomers at? Need to see the zoomers. Thanks for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Just fixing this here. You go to more. How come it doesn't give me more? Okay, well, just gonna go with that for now. All right, I'm gonna go back and share the screen, and it should be effective. That guy looks interesting there. All right.
kept them there for a long, long time. This was the Iran hostages broke into the American. In the fall of 1979, protesters broke into the American embassy in Iran, took dozens of people hostage, and kept them there for a long, long time. This was the Iran hostage crisis, an episode that changed the course of American history. Let's take a step back. This hostage crisis didn't come out of nowhere. It was the culmination of several decades of bad blood between the United States and Iran. In 1953, the U.S. helped topple Iran's elected prime minister, replacing Mohammed Reza Shah Pahlavi, also known as simply the Shah. The Shah was friendly to the U.S. interests, particularly when it came to oil. The Shah was about as popular in Iran as ants on picnic. He was a brutal dictator, and his infamous secret police, the Savak, terrorized, tortured, and killed people. Opposition to the Shah grew and grew. In January of 1979, he and his family left Iran on vacation, never to return. By the spring of that year, a religious leader, the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, took power. This is the Iranian Revolution. Khomeini established a new government, an Islamic Republic. This new government and the young masses who supported it had no love for the United States. They staged demonstrations outside the U.S. Embassy in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Trouble grew. After leaving Iran, the Shah bounced around from country to country, but after a cancer diagnosis, he wanted to come to the United States to receive the best medical care. President Jimmy Carter didn't want to admit the Shah, but relented under pressure from a group of elder statesmen led by Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller. The Shah arrived at the New York hospital on October 22nd, 1979. As Carter predicted, giving shelter to the Shah anchored the Iranian revolutionaries a lot. So much so that on November 4th, 1979, a huge mob of protesters attacked the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Knock, knock. Who's there? 3,000 of us, and we're mad as hell. The mob took 63 people at the embassy prisoner. Later, 3 more people were taken hostage at the Iranian Foreign Ministry, bringing the total to 66. 13 days later, the Ayatollah ordered the release of 13 hostages, leaving 53. Another hostage was subsequently released on medical grounds. From then on, the remaining 52 were there for the long. They were held in the same embassy complex where they once worked. No hostages were killed, were treated well. Some were beaten with rubber hoses or hung over elevator shafts. Several men were victims of mock execution. Back in the States, the hostage crisis gripped the news center.
Iranian citizens seized the American embassy in Iran.
The American government demanded the hostages released or were involved. The Iranians wanted the Shah shipped. No such message. The driver point home, the U.S. froze Iranian assets held in American banks. But still, the Iranians didn't budge. In April of 1980, President Carter decided to try something different. He authorized a military rescue mission known as Operation Eagle Claw. But poor weather and mechanical failures doomed the mission, leaving America and the Carter administration embarrassed on the world stage. Carter made his election, and his opponent, Ronald Reagan, pounced on him for being weak and ineffective.
Frankly, I don't think the president has done anything that he couldn't have done 5 months ago.
When election day rolled around, the hostages were still being held captive with no end in sight. Reagan trounced Carter in polls. By the start of 1981, the Iranian government began to feel the pressure from the international community to release the hostages. The Iranians and Americans went back to the bargaining. In exchange for lifting the embargo, Iran agreed to release their prisoners. Just hours after Ronald Reagan took the oath of office on January 20, 1981, the American hostages were freed from captivity. The hostage crisis lasted 444 days. It was a bruising period for the United States and for President Carter. And the ugly market left on relations between the United States and Iran lingered to this day.
All right. So,
Getting elected president is an expensive business. Campaign costs add up.
oh,
Your advertising.
somebody probably couldn't hear.
Convention costs, even bumper stickers.
Let's see. Oh, well, I just got the message, so it's a little late, Liliana. Whoops. So what I want you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I would like you to answer the question from the discussion post that looks like this right here. So, how could the crisis and even revolution have been avoided? And why are there still tensions between Iran and the US today? So go ahead and take a minute or two to formulate your ideas there. And let's see what we can do. All right, so let's address the first question with a share of hands or somebody who's done typing. How could the crisis or even the revolution have been avoided? Hannah.
Choice of leader. First, you have to get an elected too, and then they put in someone that they just wanted, that they thought would be better for them because it suited them.
So it appears, as Hannah is saying, that the United States got involved in another country's business, blocked a democratic election to put in someone who is going to favor the United States economically at the detriment to the people of Iran. So I think that would be probably the first step to avoiding this. Now, would they have become such an enemy? We don't know. Yeah, you can't go back and redo history, but it could have helped, right? Some people said the Shah, the Shah leaving was definitely an issue, but I think the Shah would have been overthrown if the U.S. hadn't sheltered the Shah. That's also somebody said that. That's a good point as well. Number two, why are there still tensions between Iran and the U.S. today? Anybody want to take a share on that one? Lucy McJunkins. Okay, so people who lived to tell the story could tell them how they were treated, etc. Yeah, Katie.
I said that there were like political indifferences and things that they disagreed on for a long time, and they didn't have a reason to trust the other. So there were obviously going to be
Okay, so lack of trust in different political systems, no reason to trust each other. Okay, anybody on Zoom want to take a look at two? Why are there still tensions between Iran and the United States to this day? Brooke, go ahead.
I think I said pretty much what they said. I can't really hear them, but I said like how Iran took when they were storming the U.S. embassy, how they took them captives, and to another nation, seeing them take their people and treat them harshly can cause like some really strong tensions about the other country and like what they're doing to their people. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I was singing this in my head. This is just like a think, maybe don't look at your computer for a second and just open up your mind. Okay. If that happened today, if somebody invaded the United States Embassy, let's say, pick a random country. Sam Sewell, pick a random country. Well, I'll tell you right now, if Russians invade the U.S. Embassy in the United States Embassy in Russia, we would have World War III. It wouldn't even be a matter. Now, let's pick a somewhat less of a country that we have tensions with. Hannah, what do you think? Latvia. If the United States Embassy was taken hostage in Latvia, the United States would probably blame Russia, and there'd probably be a third world war. Okay, but that's a good one. Let's go with something like go ahead, Grace. Okay, Sweden, sure. Or maybe like Venezuela, okay, or Chile or Kenya. Yeah. That was the embassy bombing at Kenya. It wasn't even taking hostages. It was the bombing that Al Qaeda took responsibility for, and Osama bin Laden definitely was one of the reasons why we are still in wars in Iraq and Afghanistan 20 years later. But I mean, like I said, I just food for thought. I thought it'd be very interesting to think about if this happened today, what the consequences would be. Okay, I think most of you can agree on that. Yes.
I got to thinking about starting World War I, and the mistreatment and just like the relationship between.
Yeah.
If it had been, this is like kind of talking for like related to what Hannah said. If it had been someone from a different country that we had tensions with that had shot Lincoln or JFK, would there have been another World War potentially?
Lincoln or JFK?
Yeah, it was kind of
Oh yeah. Well, Lincoln and JFK are two different, time periods. But I would say if JFK, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there already about the death of JFK, that it was a communist, someone that was trained by a communist from Russia to kill him already. But if there was any evidence to that, yeah, that would have been a big issue. I can't say it would have ended in World War III or not, but it would have been a big issue. All right. Here's what we are going to do then. Make sure you have your response in here. Again, I'll go check through. I only see 23 I've got 7 on the Zoom. 4, 9, 12, 15, 17. Means only one of you on the Zoom probably haven't done it or in person is just chilling. Okay. And maybe I got the 24th. I did. That's 100% participation. I see that's good. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to open this up real quick so everybody on the screen can share it so we're all aware of how I'm going to be assessing this. So we're going to have another discussion today. I have printed off the list of people from yesterday, whether I assigned you a 1 or a 2. And once we are done, you're going to upload your notes from the discussion we have today here. I did go over and check out Mr. Broderick's class and was just curious how they did it. And I saw almost every single one of them taking notes that looked basically, okay, well, I don't know why this is acting this way. Something like they wrote the question out, okay, and then they used bullet points to come up with the responses. You're not seeing that on Zoom. Let me switch to share. Okay, so something like this, where they wrote the question out here, and then the bullet point responses from people they put down there. And that's how they were taking notes. Okay, I think that'd be the easiest way for you to do it. Unless you want to do it by hand, that's perfectly fine. I'm good with that. Okay, I'm going to switch to share back. All right, so in the outer circle, you are asking the questions. In the inner circle, you're going to be debating. Please make sure when you turn in your questions are obvious for me to read. And then this needs to be done by the end of class. Okay. There's one thing I changed on this that's different. I guess 2 that I wanted to bring up. First one was quality responses. Just because you spoke doesn't mean it's a quality response. Okay. It's almost like an SAQ. The response shouldn't evoke some type of extra piece of information that you learned in the last 5 or 7 days. Okay. I was watching, I witnessed a lot of students had their online textbook up. They had their online notes up so they could look things up while the question was asked. If you take good notes, if you have vocabulary, obviously that can help you. The other thing that I noticed on here was professional behavior during the discussion. I don't think I have an issue with you, but period 9 is a little chaotic. So if you're talking out of turn, or if you're going to bash someone else's response, then I'm going to take points off, because a discussion that's what it is. Not everyone has to agree on it, but you have to talk it out. That's the whole point. Okay. I have a question from somebody in here. Can we pause between each question to write them down? We can take 30 seconds or so to do that. Yes, Lily, thanks. Anybody else have a question? Okay, here's how we're going to do this in terms of the formatting thing, okay? I'm gonna need everybody to kind of watch how we're gonna do this. Everybody has to get on Zoom in the room. Go ahead and do it. I'm gonna authorize this. Okay, those of you at home, just take a minute to breathe, as it's gonna be a little bit hard for you to maybe hear this. You do need to mute when you join in. Yep. Thank you for asking. All right, and then I'm going to attempt to put this facing this direction, so that now in a dream world, which again is just a dream world, not reality, they can hear you a little bit better through the microphone. All right. Here comes the questions. And they're on my other screen. Cool. All right. What do you want? Oh, stop being annoying, folks. This is not the day to do that. It's really hard to hear it. Oh, no, that was Lucy. Thanks a lot for evoking a bunch of me having to walk back here and stress my back some more. Jeez. I'm already putting the team on my back here. All right. This is an attempt for those of you actually at home to be able to hear. I don't really know how this is going to work. We're just going to kind of check it out. I'm hoping this doesn't fall too. Put a book right there. Smart. And then I'm going to switch the speakers to be running through the Epson, which they are. Good. Okay. Vivian Taylor, you're going to be a guinea pig. Say, what time of the day is it?
12:14.
No, you asked the question.
What time of day is it?
Okay, mute. Jill, get your fancy countdown timer on. What time is it?
It's 12:15
No,
and
did-
there's 2 hours and 16 minutes left.
Did you hear that, Vivian?
It was muffled and a bit quiet.
Okay,
I am myself, I think it'll work.
I know. So do that, but I gotta see what I need to mute. Go ahead.
It's 12:15.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So what I'm gonna have to do is basically somehow try to pull off the impossible here. I think I can do this, maybe. So if I move them over here, I guess it'd be this way. Okay. We're gonna. What do you need?
My Zoom's not working.
Well,
Maybe turn and use like mine.
okay. Here's what I got it. I got it.
Okay. Maybe you have to turn.
All right, let's see if we can do this. So when I need to mute is when you're gonna be talking in here, right? Is that correct? And then when they're talking, I need to be unmuted. Everybody on Zoom, when you are going to talk, I need to make sure that the sound is on here. When you are not going to talk and they're talking in the room, the students are going to unmute and talk to you and the rest of us. And that's how we're going to try this deal. Okay, you're the guinea pig class. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so who wants to start off with a question? Go ahead, Jill.
Okay. So my question is, why were the Western influences in Iran considered satanic, and how did they rid the country of influence?
Okay, does anyone want to respond to that in the room?
Can you repeat the question? Yes.
On the Zoom, do it on the Zoom.
I am. Why were Western influences considered satanic in Iran, and how did they rid the country of the influence?
I know what I'm gonna do. Forget this.
Wait, so if you want to answer, do you have to unmute yourself? Yes.
Okay, so I think that they were considered satanic because of the like difference and how when things are different, you usually assume you're wrong, but also the tensions built up. And when something you view negatively comes out with a new idea, usually you'll have like a negative preconception of it. And in that case, it was that it was like evil and satanic.
I agree. And building off of what Katie said, I think with the rise of Islam fundamentalization and just seeing themselves, or just a movement towards a more like purified Islam, which meant like getting rid of more Western influences because it wasn't initially part of like the Islamic culture, and that meant getting rid of like probably like not economic policies, but Western brands and goods like Coca-Cola and like jeans and bubble gum and stuff.
All right. Anyone else want to comment on that? Okay, we're ready for another question. Anyone at home or in person, up to you. Go ahead, E-Ray.
How did the dependence on foreign countries affect incomplete independences?
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Again.
How did the dependence on foreign countries affect incomplete independences?
Okay. Anyone catch that? Okay, can you do it a little bit, one more time, a lot louder, like yell it into your computer.
How did the dependence on foreign countries affect incomplete independences?
All right, good. Okay. If anyone wants to talk on Zoom, just let me know. Can answer.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so industrialized nations were offered, they demanded major concessions in return for like their aid. So, for oh my gosh, sorry, I forgot what else I was gonna say. But they were essentially they were going to help with the. Oh my gosh, never mind. Sorry.
Here, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of countries, I think like Africa, they kind of relied on, at first, like the US and like westernized countries, and that was kind of to their detriment because of like overpopulation, and like there was not enough like needs to match or there was not enough resources to match needs, and they didn't have enough money to pay other countries, so they were kind of left with this overpopulation and not enough resources for the population.
And to add on to what she said, for not having enough resources for the population, it leads to a worse living standards for their people, and essentially are hurting their country more than it could have.
I agree. Oh, should I just keep talking? Oh, sorry. So with these dependent countries, the mother countries or the imperialistic ones, like European countries, like for example, Algeria and France, like the colonizers were reluctant to give up their colony and like their possessions, as they were also still recovering from World War II. In some cases, and they still needed the resources and markets that these countries provided.
Okay, adding on to what Hannah said, the other countries after World War II, there had been the Great Depression prior to World War II. So countries who were solely relied on the US and the West were also in like danger of potentially becoming or losing all their resources if something were to happen to the countries that they relied so much on.
Okay, great. I think that question is dead. Who's ready for another one? Grace Lane, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, do you think Indira Gandhi was a good leader and why?
Anyone in the room is gonna speak, just let me know. I'll put the volume back up. Maybe you should repeat it one more time, a lot louder,
Okay.
because you have to talk to us and the people on the queue.
I will, okay.
My question was, do you think Indira Gandhi was a good leader and why?
In the book, she was described as a strong-willed and an astute
Do you have
politician.
do you have a second one, maybe?
Yeah.
Why don't you shoot for that?
All right.
Let's try to get the crowd going here. Excite the crowd.
Okay, my next question is, what were some of the problems with African decolonization?
There you go. All right, Ashton, hit it.
Some problems for African decolonization were that ethnic groups got split up into different countries, and that caused conflict because they had different beliefs, and yeah, it just caused a lot of conflict.
Anybody else? Good.
Okay, so the multiple tribes, like in one country also, and like tribes were split up, so they were separated, which like deformed the sense of unity within the countries.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Katya.
After decolonization.
Oh, sorry,
there's a
Katya,
lot
say it again, please. Sorry about that.
after decolonization, there was a lack of resources, and that led to unequal wealth distribution and a struggling economy.
Good. Anybody else? Go ahead, Hannah. Real loud.
Also, from off of what Katya said, I think it also resulted in mass mobilization of people, like even with the ethnic like lines being drawn, but also just people moving around. That can also probably destabilize certain places that already didn't have a lot of resources, but now they have to stretch resources even thinner with more people.
Good. Okay. We're going to be ready for the next question. I want to remind everybody, I want to make sure I remind everybody that you're talking to two groups of people. It's not that easy to hear. You think you're being loud, but I need you to be like 3 times louder just so that it's clear, okay? Because it's hard to process, do 4 things at once. That's what makes this whole thing hard all year. All right. Victoria, you're up. Real loud, please.
What halted economic growth in Africa after decolonization? What halted economic growth in Africa after decolonization?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Ashley, dude.
Okay. Something that halted economic growth was the lack of resources and the overpopulation caused like a lack of resources and a lot of poverty, and so they couldn't really grow the economy since there's a lot of lack of resources.
Good.
So also the unequal like sharing of the wealth, or what was it called? Yes, thank you. Unequal wealth distribution, and it made the wages off balance. I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore.
Can I talk, or can you guys hear me?
Okay, we're ready for another question.
What? I'm
Griffin.
All right. What were the most challenging factors that countries faced after gaining independence, and why?
Can you hear me?
What were the most challenging factors that countries faced after gaining independence and why?
All right, we need the beginning of the alphabet here to step up.
I'm raising
Did you say what were the challenges?
What were the most challenging factors that countries faced after gaining independence?
Okay, I feel like we did that one. Do you have any other ones?
Yeah.
Go ahead, say it real loud.
How did the
Tell
increase?
them we're gonna skip that question.
All right. We're doing a different question. How did the increase of African American protests in the 1980s affect South Africa?
Good. Yeah.
How did the increase of African American protests in the 1980s affect South Africa?
Okay, so I think it had to do with like spreading like worldwide like knowledge of it and like making the world realize how bad it actually was down there and promoting like international like push for change.
Did you see Lily's chat?
No, I don't. That's over there.
Well, she said that people on Zoom are trying to talk, but
Oh, they need to make it, they need to raise their hand or something. If you could say that, let me know. That would be helpful. Or if someone could just walk up to the computer and drag that over my screen. Well, I'll do it.
No, I mean,
Thanks,
yeah,
Ashton.
wait, we're talking.
Just drag it over.
What?
Click on the chat and then just drag it.
Oh, cool.
You gotta go to the other screen.
I already told her in chat.
I'm sure I know, but no, you gotta go to the other screen. Okay, no. All right. You're good, bud. It's over here, so I have to click on this. Someone said something. Oh. Okay. All right. Let's keep going here. Hannah.
I think that with the rise of more African American protests, this helped lead to the end of the apartheid and like grant more civil rights to the people of African America and have less of a gap like socially between like the white people and the black people.
Good. Anybody else on that topic? If not, Lucy McJunkins, can you ask your question, please?
Okay, so my question is, what were some of the problems people went through living in shanty towns?
All right, Lily Dole, go ahead.
Okay, so what we saw in like the video was that they had terrible plumbing systems, very poor like living conditions. There's also like religious like not battles, but like religious disputes, and then a lot of children were like in poor conditions where they didn't have parents.
Good. Liliana.
I mean, Lily kind of took everything, but yeah, they had really bad living conditions. She literally took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Brooke, we're gonna add to that?
Yeah, and then like also from the video how we saw that when they saw when the celebrity came, how they saw like their life and wanted to be able to have that better life, so then their want to be able to live the better quality of life that they know is available to their surrounding areas.
Good. Ethan, you want to ask your question?
Yeah. So can you describe the purpose of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Good question. Anybody? Hannah, you want it? Good.
So the Muslim Brotherhood was an Egyptian nationalist movement founded by Hassan al-Banna in 1928, and they were committed to fundamentalism movement in Islam, so the purification of Islam, and they helped encourage like urban riots against the Khedive government.
They wanted to get rid of British influence.
Mhm.
Liliana, you have your hand up?
Yep. Their goal was also to drive out lots of Western influences and reclaim Islam's destiny as an empire.
Good. Brooke?
And then they often allied with the Free Officers Movement, and then they were able to lead a coup to seize the Egyptian government from the Khedive in July of 1952.
All right. Oh, great. We got time for another question then. Nyla, are you out there ready to go? Nyla, you want to ask your question? Okay. Jackson, why don't you go ahead? I'm going to mute. You got it.
What was some of the effects of military leadership on countries in Africa?
You got to unmute. Remember.
What were some of the effects of military leadership on countries in Africa?
Go ahead.
It created a stable government, but not, it didn't improve the economy.
Okay, we've got a question from Nyla. Okay, it reads, how did the Green Revolution affect different countries? Go ahead, yeah.
I think it helped to support the growing populations in some of the really densely populated countries like India and China, but it also contributed to like soil deprivation and probably environmental problems.
Anybody else? You have a question or you have an answer? Okay, wait. We're gonna get Vivian Taylor. Vivian Taylor, you have a question?
Yes. Why is it that military rule usually had political stability?
Wait, I didn't understand what you said.
Say that again, twice as loud, please.
Why is it that military rule usually had political stability?
Good question. Sam, you gonna get in? Stanley? Destiny? Luella? We can do this to help the team out and yourselves. Go ahead.
They were more resistant to religious and ethnic rivalries, so they didn't have as much disputes and conflict in there, like when they were ruling.
Anyone want to add to that? Okay, we need to go to Brooke. Go ahead.
And then the militaries, they could able to use force and power for their ruling, so it had established a level of superiority for them to be able to enforce rules more strictly and more powerfully.
Good. Lilian, you want to jump on that?
They also ruled with repression and control, so there was little room for opposition.
Bingo. Excellent. Okay, we got another question. Owen, go ahead, real loud.
Why is 1960 known as the year for Africa, and why were the events that took place so important?
Anybody want to respond to that? Okay, that's a good question. We got no response. So Sam Sewell, unmute and ask your question, please.
Why do you think the military refused to protect the Shah?
Are you talking about Iran?
Yeah.
Anybody have a answer to the said question? Katie?
So I think it was because they were also like in disagreement about the Shah. They were a part of the revolution in a sense, and everyone that was a part of the revolution would be willing to kill to get to the Shah, and they wouldn't want to put themselves through that since they were in like the middle of what was happening.
Good. Okay, Sam, that was yours. Mushi, do you have a question? Rick, say it very loudly, please.
So my question is, what is an apartheid and what effect it had on the Africans?
Is that apartheid?
Yeah, apartheid.
Okay. Stanley or Sam or Luella, anyone want to jump in there? What was apartheid? How did it affect the Africans or people in South Africa? We need an answer. Okay, Hannah, go ahead. Try and answer it. We need, oh, Liliana, you got it.
Apartheid was basically like a system of policies and rules that kept Black people and white people separate and Black people at a disadvantage.
Bingo, good. Stanley, go ahead. I gotta turn that stuff. You got it.
Rated and they had little resources. And they were also, you know, there was just racism in general.
Stopped it stopped like growth in
Good.
in, like the Black communities.
Yes, correct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I need you, I'm on mute, so I'm gonna turn back up here. I need you to make sure you upload these with your questions. Do that now. Those of you on Zoom, thanks for being the trial on this. It wasn't as easy as I was hoping for. We'll continue to work. All right. Nope. Just have a good spring break.
Bye, guys.
Bye.